Fabian. Is that what you
Hello.
prefer? Do you prefer the French, the Fabian, or the American Fabian?
Fabian is my real, like a little bit French, but Fabian works. I use always Fabian in an
Fabian?
international setting. Otherwise, I sound very French directly.
Well, Fabian, how did you end up as the European champion, the undisputed number one heavyweight ranked European champion of live shopping and social commerce? How did this come to be?
I'm very, very far from that. But let's see. In a couple years, maybe we're getting somewhere. At least I'm fully dedicated to in this space for the last couple of years. So, I'm super motivated by the space and how it's fastly developing. But I think I got into space already back in 2016 when I just moved to China, where actually social commerce is just, it's not even a term so much because everything is social commerce. Every social platform has commerce and every commerce platform has social aspects in it. So I got involved really in 2016. So my wife is one of the first 10 creators on the Chinese and original version of TikTok called Douyin, where she was contracted, and we've worked together very closely with the first couple people who developed the app and really launched that app in the Chinese market. And we kind of grew alongside them in, okay, TikTok short video is a thing, and how can we start helping content creators monetize? And they looked, for instance, at YouTube, right, where YouTube does it very well, and how they monetize, or how creators can monetize there, and not many other platforms have nailed that. And that's kind of what I started doing there, and kind of grew alongside that. Started an MCN, so a management company for creators in supporting creators. How can you monetize? Launch your own brands, do of course influencer marketing and those sorts of things. So done that in China, and then they launched TikTok, and we're like, hey, can you do this and support creators in the European market? So that's where I went to the European market, done that for a couple of years here, and then sold my business to a very traditional teleshopping company, where I believe actually they're the best positioned in the whole industry, definitely in the West, for making social commerce work and being one of the biggest contributors to the creator economy. So that's kind of how I ended up there. So 6-7 years counting, fully dedicated on creator commerce, social commerce, live commerce, everything what falls under this term social commerce.
Nice. Okay. Give me the bragging rights, man. I want to hear the version that you wish you could tell your mom and she would understand, Like so the Many Creators was the project that was acquired by HSE, right?
Correct.
And you guys,
Exactly.
that was the MCN, right? The multi-channel network.
Exactly. Correct. That's what we've started in the Netherlands back in 2020. I think when TikTok really started kicking off a little bit more here in the European market, and we exited it about a year later with about
How many
100 creators under
creators?
management. 100, something around 100 creators under management, reaching a couple 100 million every single month, which is quite significant, I think, for the European market specifically. But yeah, it's the creators are on TikTok different, I think, than the YouTube creators. We imagine like the TikTok creators in that time were like 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, reaching tens of millions every month with whatever content. And the biggest challenge was, okay, how are we ever gonna monetize this? All this
Nice.
content they're creating on TikTok. So, but we figured out some different ways, and we experimented a lot in different ways, and that caught the interest from HSE, right? Which is like traditionally teleshopping and trying to digitalize and transform their model, going into mobile, and yeah, with creators at the core.
Got you. So what HSC saw in that was like probably the relationships you already had with a ton of existing creators, but then also the knowledge that was baked into the team about how to actually go the next step. So what was HSC up to? Like, what was their core business model? Is their core business model kind of like, could you understand it as e-commerce? Maybe the growth drivers, you would organize the company kind of around the growth drivers, if I know your brain well. But the company's business logic is e-commerce, right?
So not necessarily, and I think that's where it gets interesting generally for teleshopping as an industry. So QVC in the US is also a part of that. And there's just a
Mhm.
very few companies who have actually nailed how to work with creators very well for over 25 years and make very profitable business out of that. So I think generally it's known that teleshopping is a pretty profitable business. And the reason for that is actually that the majority of the assortments from teleshopping companies are owned by the teleshopping companies in collaboration with these TV creators, in the way how we call them. So they're usually branded under these TV creators, and they launch brands together. And the teleshopping's USP is that they basically do everything from sourcing to product development, brand development, and then selling it. And for me, the biggest interest here is teleshopping is one of the only types of companies I have seen in the last couple of years, or in generally speaking, who sells through content. So most e-com platforms, basically they have a product and then they create content to sell that product. But the way how the industry is changing is people consume first content, and then they will see which product I'm going to buy. And I think social commerce is kind of this way, like you first be social and explore content or have conversations with others, and then you get interested or inspired to purchase a product, where e-com is completely the other way around. And I think this teleshopping has been doing this. They have been creating content on TV with creators who can selling directly, inspiring people, because the majority of the customers in teleshopping, they purchase a product in the morning. They don't even know they're going to purchase a product in the first place. So it really works in this FOMO impulse-driven purchasing, and a creator is convincing them to purchase that product. And that's really content-driven through a live stream. Yeah, it is on TV, but you could do this on mobile as well. And that's, for me, actually something which is very interesting, and why I think they're so well positioned, because they can train creators how to sell. And HSE has been doing this with a creator starting from zero, really from scratch, didn't have any name, to one of the top creators who is now famous in Germany, making hundreds of millions every year. Really building that from scratch, and kind of building creators from scratch. And for me, that interesting part is that's where the whole industry is heading to. Creators having reach, they're creating content, they start monetizing this content. Now I want to launch my own brand and start selling it myself. And this is the teleshopping business at the end of the day. It's exactly the same. It's just the way how you sell. HSE does it through TV or QVC, and now people do that through a TikTok live. What's the difference? For me, it's very similar.
Yeah, totally. If not even more organic in a sense. Like it somehow makes more sense in my head, at least. I grew up like watching cable TV, and I remember, particularly at my grandma's house, you'd watch TV, and the channel guide, like where you could see what was on, actually, they had like a constant shopping stream where you call and buy stuff that was next to the list of things playing on different channels. But I grew up in the middle of nowhere, so I'm really curious if other people understand this. So maybe traditional live shopping or tele-shopping, as you say, is basically that idea, right? You have Slap Chop is like the one that maybe even younger people know. The Slap Chop guy comes on TV. You see the phone number at the bottom. He says, "You're gonna love my nuts." He slaps the walnuts or whatever, and people call in and buy the Slap Chop. This is traditional tele-shopping, yeah.
Exactly. And that's kind of still what happens today. And of course, you won't watch it right now and then call and then purchase a product. But I think the fundamentals of shopping are staying the same, right? At the end of the day, if you watch a live stream, or shopping in general, is like you go there because you like the product and you just want a good deal. And then someone is convincing you in the shop or in the live stream to purchase that product. So basically to give an uplift in conversion rate. That's at the end of the day what it does. So yeah, very similar in the way of, but that content from TV might not attract you, whereas a TikTok live doesn't attract a grandma in her mid 80s, So different interest, but same concept in my opinion.
So your job at HSE, which was doing that more classic style of teleshopping, is to bring social and creators and the future kind of forward, yeah?
Exactly. So I basically came in, and my, let's say, job description was, can you make a digital version of our business? A scalable and digital version, right? Because where you're on linear TV, limited to 24 hours, you can create on one channel. On social, you can expand infinite, right? Because you can do through all different channels, through creators and so on. And it allows you to have actually much more distribution channels. So there's only an X amount of people watching to this one channel at the same time. But you could advertise now throughout so many different channels. So that was kind of my goal, and kind of designed a whole new business model around that, where we really have content creators, influencers, or however you call them, at the core of the business, giving them different monetization opportunities.
So I'm sure you don't want to. I'm sure you don't want to leak any insider info about HSE, but it would be really interesting to like. One of my questions was, how big can this get today? I know that you probably saw lots of crazy stuff in China. It might be interesting to hear the comparison if you're familiar with like a more Western brand that's crushing it with live in a similar way that you're familiar, and maybe a comparison actually to what you saw in China, actually, as far as how big can it be, how much revenue can people actually be building on top of this channel?
Exactly. So in China, you have a lot of these success stories, right? So you have Lipstick King, so Li Jiaqi, but you have Weijia, who's like doing more generic types of products, and these were really the top streamers in China, and they're easily doing, I don't know, 500 million a month in revenue by a single person, right? But at the end of the day, at the same time, there's also 20, 30, 40 million people looking at that live stream at the same time. Where here, like, people
Wait,
are, wow, we
have to
got
stop.
100K viewers. Or
You said 500 million a month, and I was like, wow, that's so crazy that the company's doing that. And then you said per streamer.
Exactly. So really the top streamers do that types of revenue, right? And then for me, what's even more shocking is when you see really these top streamers. So I've watched once, I think they had 80 million concurrent viewers, like live, 80 million. So this is insane. So you have huge amounts there to get that traffic, and everyone wants a good deal, right? That's kind of where the success of the 11/11, the Singles Day at Alibaba, got built on as well, right? Everyone went there, and then this guy selling this one product for a steal, and it could be even stuff like toilet paper. You know, it's like toilet paper 50% off. Everyone is buying in toilet paper for the rest of the year. Done. This is how you rank up your numbers, and everyone has a good deal, and everyone is happy at the end of the day.
So obviously the population of China is much greater than that of, say, Germany, where you're at. But like, so what do you see as already proven and possible in Europe? And if you, yeah, or maybe there isn't any great examples, and that's kind of your job to be the first one. Europe or North America actually is fine as well.
Yeah, so I think everything related to live shopping, we're at the very, very early stages. So of course the scale, like in China, there's no way we can reach that. So that means we need to have business models which are not so centered around this one creator, where whole companies are built around one individual, but have multiple individuals, right? Definitely looking at the European market, you have Germany speaking German, but then you have France speaking French, and then you have all these different countries which are relatively small, and try to get there an X amount of percent of the population watching that live stream at the same time. So we're very far from that, I think, but at the same time, it also gives opportunities to help smaller creators monetize in different ways through their own private communities. And I think that works very well. Where I see players doing it well actually here are the Chinese players like Cider or Shein, who's regularly doing like those live streams. So Cider is doing a lot of live streams in their app because they kind of use the China concept. And you can see it's very Chinese, and it might not work. But at the end of the day, what I said in the beginning, people come for a great product with a great deal. So if I would do now a live stream about an iPhone and I sell an iPhone with 30% off, I can sell. So what's very important for businesses to look, okay, how do we incorporate that in our business model? And that's why I believe the teleshopping business is so well positioned, because they don't have these marketplace approaches where you operate with super low margins. The majority of the assortment is your own assortment, meaning you control the margins very strongly, meaning you can involve creators as part of your whole business model. And that's why I think we are well positioned. At the same time, you know, everyone approaches social commerce, and I see live commerce as a part of social commerce in different ways, and they look at it in a different ways, because at the end of the day, it is making commerce more social. That's the way how you can see it. And whether you do that through live content, so live commerce, or video content, video commerce, or short video commerce, however you do that and can monetize, that's kind of the way how you should do it. But at the end of the day, creators need to be at the core, and you need to involve creators in your whole business model. Otherwise, they can do it themselves. They open a Shopify, go to Teespring, launch their own product line. That's it. So how can you compete with creators soon? Because creators are the brands of tomorrow, right? So everyone has to compete with creators soon.
Yeah, this is actually a whole interesting topic we could dive in, because I kind of feel like the position we're at now in the creator economy is basically adapt or die. Like, at least for the big companies, it's like either Logan Paul is going to keep building primes and like eating up Monster Energy's share or Gatorade or whatever, whoever he's competing against. This is just the very, very first couple of stories we hear now in stories like Logan Paul and Prime, or there's a bunch
Mr.
of them
Beast,
now.
so obviously.
Beast Burger, Feastables, yeah, exactly.
So there's more and more creators who are going to do it this way, right? So they're really competing with well-known brands out there through their own distribution channels. And I think this is super interesting, and you're going to see this soon on a much smaller scale, right? And this is where this term in China comes from, which I think we're going to start using more. I think we already use KOL much more here, key opinion leaders, and you see now the term coming more, most likely like key opinion consumer, like people who are very specialized in this one niche and just talk about this one niche. Let's say lipsticks, and I'm an expert for lipsticks. So whenever I want to buy a lipstick, I go to this person because this person is only reviewing lipsticks 8 hours a day or creating so much content around lipsticks. He has probably the best recommendation for me. And this is what everyone is kind of going into, because they're looking, how can I make my fair share into the space? And am I going to launch my own brand for that, or sell for other brands? Everything is possible. And I think that's where you see like companies like LTK, which focus on these micro influencers, and then through affiliate businesses. This is kind of the first steps of what we're going to see in social commerce. And this is really going to explode definitely when TikTok is starting to open up commerce on their platform, which they do in China already super successfully, taking over market share from Alibaba already.
How does the actual process work today? I want us to end up with a playbook for who should be doing this, or who should be pursuing this, maybe as a channel, maybe not in the way you folks are, but who can take advantage of this, and so on. But let's start with, how does it work from the nitty gritty today? What are the inputs for this system, and then what's the actual output?
Exactly. So I think you have to zoom out there and kind of look at your business model at first. So it doesn't matter if you're an e-com or you're any other, or really like a brand, or whoever you are, or maybe even you're a creator and you're interested in live commerce, or I think generally social commerce, doesn't matter if that includes video, short videos, for instance, as well. I think what's the most important, just look at your business model and see, where can we integrate a creator as part of our business? And I think how it's currently approached, what I see a lot companies doing is they go with the obvious. They do influencer marketing because that's something they know. So the way how live streaming or live shopping currently is approached is, the marketing team comes up like, I'm reading so many things about live shopping, let's give it a try. And what they do is they go to one of the SaaS solutions, they embed that on their website, and then they invite one of a creator, maybe 100K followers, they pay some money to host this live stream because they would know how to do a live stream. And then they operate this live stream where they attach some of their products, and they do that on their website. And that's kind of the way how they operate. So, which I think is good, because at the end of the day, it gives you an introduction to live shopping, but this is not really how I believe live shopping should be approached, because this person, first of all, doesn't know how to sell. Second of all, you see now something embedded in the right corner of your website, most likely disturbing the customer journey anyways from all your other competing activities, which is basically not really contributing to your funnel, meaning you're probably going to see a drop in your conversion rates or those sorts of things. That's at least what I will believe. At the same time, you also don't have a lot of the experiences you have, which you can get on a mobile phone. In just native experiences at the end of the day, which people expect from a live stream. So there's, I think, a lot of different ways how you can approach it and where you have to look at. But yeah, we really look at how can we sell. So the first team who should be involved is actually the sales team. How do we sell? And which products do we have high margins on? And how can we structure this right now that we can involve that creator in that selling process and incentivize them? So for instance, the way how we do that is we offer creators a lot of different ways to monetize as part of the customer journey. So we involve the creator as part of the entire customer journey, from top funnel, a TikTok video where a potential customer for the first time explores, or a creator who's with us, a product who's with us, or just our platform as a whole, and involve that creator there. Then so the creator gets paid for that, traditional influencer marketing. Then the creator generates a download, so they get paid for every download of our app, for instance. So we have a live shopping app, but it could be your e-com app. You incentivize them for every download, because you anyways would have to run ads for your downloads, where you would pay an X amount of, I don't know, €5 cost per install. You will pay the creator €2-3 cost per install, just as an example. creators involved in that process. They can monetize directly from that, where they otherwise didn't get monetized. And then you involve the creator in the content creation on your platform. You pay them a little bit for that, because otherwise you have anyways to shoot product images and those sorts of things. And then when you sell through that creator's content and there's a sale, for instance, I don't know, they create a live stream or even product images or short videos. There's a sale, you involve the creator and you give them a small commission, because you anyways would have to do that if you would use affiliate or whatever. So there's a lot of different ways how a creator can be part, I think, already of most existing business models. But yeah, you have to be very clear on what you're trying to achieve. And can these amounts be convincing enough for creators to join you, or they rather do it themselves? And I think this is the biggest challenge creators have. But this is the way how we approach it. So we have currently 6 different ways for creators to monetize in different ways as part of the whole customer journey.
Let's workshop like a sample case here. I'm a new athleisure company. I'm Jim Bear. I'm at 10, 15 million in revenue. I got 50, 60 employees, and I'm primarily European, but I'm excited about North America as well. And I think live shopping is cool for me. This is the next channel I want to tackle. What do I have to know first?
Step 1 is traffic. Where do you get traffic from for your live streams?
Right now we pay for lots of traffic, but we have lots of organic. We build a brand now. We've got some traffic to the site, at least organically, and our socials are pretty strong.
You have traffic on the website, so this is one thing you can leverage. Let's assume you're going to do your first live stream on your website, right? Because I think that's the easiest. It can give you a quick start. So you leverage that traffic. So that's, I think, one. You have your social channels. I don't expect a lot of traffic from there, because people don't like to follow brands on social media. That's the whole thing. Like, I see all these big brands get like 20 likes or 200 likes or something like this, you know, where there's whole like marketing agencies involved. This doesn't work. Nobody is on social. I always ask, like, you know, you might follow some brands on social media, but with how many percent do we actually actively interact with brands? Almost no one does that, because they don't care. They only care about their friends or family. So yeah, you can promote it there. Nice. Maybe a very, very small portion will come there. Then I would start involving creators. And I think that's where you have to really look at, okay, how do I as a brand want to approach it? Do I want to keep full control over the live stream we produce and do that from our studios and involve people there? Or are we going the UGC approach, this user-generated content approach, where you say, we're going to involve a lot of creators and we do 50 live streams or 100 live streams every single month on our platform? This is a different approach. You have less control over the content, but there's more involvement from the communities of the people who are streaming to support that person. And I think this is the biggest challenge brands have. Do we want to give control away? This is a very important one. Do you want to do that? And there's a big portion of brands who doesn't want to do that, who start building their own studios and say, no, we have our brand, we need to hold on, we have our production quality. And then you have some brands, more like, I think the Cider or the Shein do that very well. They go full UGC approach. And this is now changing the market already, where you see TikTok is pushing this concept and YouTube Shorts is taking this over, YouTube in general, and Facebook are now looking, okay, can we help brands to make UGC content for their advertisements? Because people want to consume real content, not these hard ads. So I think this is something you would have to think about as a brand, and then use these platforms as distribution channels. So I don't know, let's say you decide, okay, I'm going to do this with one creator. I want to try it out first in my studio. What I would always recommend is stream directly live on the creator's content channels as well. So let's say you use a creator with 500K followers, go live on Instagram, TikTok at the same time, and simultaneously push people, traffic to your own platform. And this works very well. So we're doing this quite regularly, where we have streamers who stream from home. They stream on 3 platforms at the same time, maximize distribution, which they anyways get, because TikTok or Instagram gives push notifications to all these followers. Hey, this person is live. It gives you basically free traffic. And then you say, hey, I give you a 50% discount on Jim Bear if you come there now, and you can support me there because I will make some money there. This works way better than trying to run your own campaigns and stuff like this. And I think if this works, you can look at scalability. And that's where I said, you want to take a little bit control out of hands, maybe still curate your creators, but do this times 50. And then use a platform times 50 where creators stream from their home, stream at the same time on their platforms, and then push that back traffic. And this could be a way. But again, what I said, you really need to look at your numbers. Can we make that work? Can we pay for this? Like as a brand, because it costs money, right, to work with creators.
That was actually one of the questions I wanted to ask you. So to get to that MVP version pre-scaling that you described, how much do I have to be ready to spend in year one? I got the studio set up. That's like $1,000, whatever. But I gotta employ people to identify these creators. Maybe I need to employ people to train them how to sell. Maybe I need to actually pay for the creator to be there. At what point can I say, okay, I'm capable of making a meaningful experiment at this? Do I need $500,000, like 250,000?
So this, I think, really depends how you approach it. Do you have the goal to get scalability, or do you want to do a live stream once a while?
We want to test the channel and learn if we should scale before we pour our trillions of dollars in there.
Exactly. So if you do that, start very simply with buy a camera, maybe nice looking, because usually in the West, people might like the high production quality. Maybe it's your first test. You don't directly want to do it on a phone. You get a camera, use OBS, and start with some of the products in the studio. It doesn't really have to look that nice. Like I'm kind of on a black background. I put a LED RGB light on the back, and it looks like this with a camera.
How do we find the creator?
So we have a preference to work with TikTok creators, because TikTok creators are generally quite diverse. They usually are on Instagram as well, so they know how to create their picture content. They can make short video content, and TikTok is pushing live a lot. So a lot of TikTok creators regularly also go live. I think that's different with Instagram. Not everyone does that there. YouTube creators are, in my opinion, usually not that strong at live streams, because they really have their own way of working. So I think TikTok creators is preferred usually for us to look at. At the same time, Twitch, Twitch creators know how to live stream. They know how to entertain people in front of a camera. And this is a big challenge we've seen. We work with hundreds of creators last year in producing live content. We produced, I think, over 4,000 live shows or something like this, live stream shows last year. But what we see is like the moment you put in a studio a creator, 2-3 cameras maybe, or even one camera, and say, go speak for the next hour. A lot of creators cannot do that. They're very uncomfortable. And I think this is the biggest challenge. And that's why, again, I all the time now challenge this. Do you want this in your studio? Maybe nice. Then maybe it's even better to hire a person full time who's streaming for you 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day. Could be. This is what brands in China do. If you really come from a brand point of view, this might make sense. But at the same time, if you really want to go for that scalability, let the creator do it at home in their comfort zone. Probably content much better authentic. Of course, you need to train, but you only learn by doing, I think, in this way. Yeah, so yeah, that's again, like what I say, there's so many different ways in approaching it. I know companies in Germany invest 200K to build a studio just to get started. But I also know companies in Germany from the same scale or same size who start with a mobile phone and just start like this and start with a couple $100 just to kick it off and see how it works. Because at the end of the day, what I said, it only cares about you have the right product with the right deal. And then you have someone convinced to uplift conversion, and that's the creator. So it doesn't matter if you do this on a phone for a couple hundred or you want to have a professional studio. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. If you cannot get these 3 things right, it won't work. And we've seen that even on TV. We've seen it now as well by operating so many live shows. So don't over invest. You don't need, right?
You don't need Bill Nye the Science Guy level of quality, but you need somebody who can be charismatic on camera, and that's where the creator part comes in. So we source those from Twitch, TikTok primarily. I guess probably YouTube Live, whatever, is quite similar in that regard. But that's where we're at now. You mentioned product. What kind of products actually can we sell with this? You seem to be of the opinion that some work better than others. What's the rule?
You can sell anything, right? That's the whole thing. If you have a product someone wants for a good deal, people will buy everything. So in China, they sell rockets and cars and whatever just through live stream. You don't even see it. They even sell houses and stuff like this through live streams. If you buy now this house, you get, I don't know, 50K off. I don't know. Like this stuff happens already. But at the same time, people buy toilet paper or whatever. The very practical.
Dude, selling houses is so epic. That's such an epic idea to sell houses through live shopping.
Yeah, and it works, like people are buying houses. So you want to see also if you can get a scale that, okay, this much product soon I can sell through this live stream at the same time. Because that's maybe, I don't know, depends what you are, but you could maybe buy in products for a cheaper price because, I'm going to push this all in this one live, give a bigger discount, but I have a cheaper purchase price, for instance. So there's different ways how you, I think, can structure it the moment you figure it out. What's, I think, quite important, what we do, so we have this differentiation where we have UGC content where people stream from home, where they choose their own products and then they stream about that. And the kind of the higher production live streams where we push, more traffic to and do campaigns around, we usually have 2 people. And this, I think, sometimes you see people doing 1 and sometimes 2. And I'm not sure if that's really like with an idea behind it or they just can only find 1 creator. I have no idea. But what you have usually in selling through this content, you have 1 person who's quite technical. They know the technical details. And I think this is usually what creators generally do. The same what you said, like you start explaining the product. But at the end of the day, nobody cares about the product. So nobody cares about the technical details of this product necessarily. They want to experience it. So you have usually the other person is the storyteller. And then they will craft a story, and then you have someone who's a bit technical, like, yeah, you could use it for this way and this way. But usually if you sell a mic like this, the best way is for me to use it. And I can talk about anything, and I can do ASMR and whatever I do. It doesn't really matter. This is the best way to sell a microphone in perfume. I'm like, this is the most difficult category you can sell because no one can smell it. Tommy Hilfiger or Calvin Klein is great. No one can smell it. If you want to go into live commerce or live streaming, just watch teleshopping for a couple hours, just straight. I think you will be quite convinced to like, hey, maybe I need something like this. At least I've been, even though I'm not the target audience. Because if you look at the products there, usually they're also very practical. So maybe you can look at products which are very easy explainable, don't need much description. I
was just going to say, I guess the part of the idea of having 2 people is also it's much easier for me to have a conversation with you than to talk to the camera by myself for hours, So maybe it's also easier to train people if you get 2 in the same room.
Exactly. And if you did this more often, it's getting quite easy. And what we do right now is we're bringing sometimes professional people from TV who have been doing this for years with a content creator together.
So we've got a tool to stream on the site. We've got traffic from our organic and from the creators' socials. We've got 2 creators in the room who are capable of talking about a product from a storytelling angle and from a technical angle, perhaps. But at the end of the day, they just need to be capable of doing this and riffing and throwing their hands around and talking to the camera and not getting distracted by the chat too much and being compelling. And you mentioned conversion. Is this our North Star metric as we like validate our minimum viable product here when we talk about, or minimum viable channel when we talk about live shopping? Like, is it conversion from viewer to purchase? Is it something else? What's our North Star?
From viewer to purchase. So that's why I'm emphasized earlier mobile as well. The easiest way would be I watch a live stream, and during the live stream, I can click purchase, Apple Pay, Face ID, done. Not through this, definitely in Europe, where you add it to cart and then you have to create your account or whatever, fill in your address again because I don't know why. And, go through this whole crappy process to purchase a product. You don't want to have this consideration time that is stuck in your basket and stuff like this. It's really like buy now. And that's why you see on teleshopping this thing like this countdown, like, we have 50 left, we have 40 left. Because it triggers people, I need to buy it now. And this is something you have to look at, okay, how can we create that sense of urgency in live streaming as well? And that's direct checkout.
That makes perfect sense to me. I mean, one thing I think marketers still haven't figured out is that we focus a lot on influencer partnerships, that like classic relationship where you publish the content statically on social, or the creator does it on the brand's behalf. And the thing that we still have to get through marketers' head that sometimes surprises me is like, this person that's viewing this content is scrolling a feed of like geese fighting hillbillies and people getting in fist fights and like Mr. Beast screaming about burgers or whatever. Like, you're competing against really incredible things, once in a lifetime lightning strikes, and you're on the tram. This person is sitting on the tram. It's loud as hell. Somebody's asking for their seat, and you're like making it super difficult for them to convert or to just understand and get through. So that experience part it struck a chord with me. Do you have a benchmark for when, if I've set up my little setup? Again, we've gone through this. I've recapped this a couple times, but we've built our MVP. We've got our conversion rate. Is at what point before I say we figured it out, we've cracked live shopping, let's add 50 creators, 100 creators, do tons and tons of these? Do you have a benchmark in mind?
So if your traffic generation is cheaper than you currently do, and if your direct conversion rate is higher than your regular e-commerce, then the shopping it helps at the end of the day. And if it doesn't, then there's not much added value. Then you can still do it, but then it's more of a marketing tool you use. Hey, we're also doing live shopping. But really to make it work as a business, not. Because at the end of the day, you have to compete with TikTok, who's going into shopping, or YouTube shopping, where you can directly purchase some products from a TikTok video, instant in the app without leaving it. This is where you're competing with, also as a brand. So, or as a brand, you're leveraging this as well. And, you use different distribution platforms, because I don't know, it might be that you're on as a brand on 20 different marketplaces and 5 different channels on social, stream all at the same time. That's where these pictures from China come from, where you have like this lady streaming in front of 100 phones, 100 free distribution channels where you have traffic on, and all offer that shopping experience. Of course it works. You create one's content and you distribute on 10 different platforms or 100 different platforms at the same time. I think it gives you a good idea of how to operate it in the first place. And I think definitely to make it more social, because at the end of the day, social commerce, I think definitely on your own platform, it's just your commerce, plus you add social aspects. And the real interesting part comes when you can create that flywheel where you have, I'm a creator, I choose my product, I create a live stream, then I generate customers, to then involve the customer. Hey, you just purchased this product, make also a live stream or make a short video in our platform, and you make a little bit of money from the short video you just made. And this is something I think brands need to start figuring out. How can we elevate our review experience and help our customers participate in our business model? Because then it can scale pretty quick, I would say, because they already share this for free anyways on social platforms very often, like Gymshark, for instance, right? There's a lot of creators sharing their Gymshark stuff. If Gymshark now takes that content, maybe even integrates somewhat in their own platform, I think they can have much more people using Gymshark and be more inspired and can uplift, upsell, and cross-sell, even on their own platform, just by having customers participate in the customer journey.
What about the small fries? I'm thinking about my 10 million revenue company doing gym bear.
Build your own content creators. That's it.
Yeah,
so we operate also 5 channels, I think, 5 different channels in beauty vertical and so on. And we reached, I think last year, 60 million, something like this, organically from scratch. We built, like the account didn't exist, So there's possibilities.
Channels on social platforms.
Yeah, TikTok, because we want more distribution channels. And if you have one person just creating content and have their own content creator, this person can live stream for you, sometimes make some TikTok videos and those sorts of things, right? And
so you hire these people as full-time employees. Are they like, who are these people? They're people with small employees.
Yeah, I think you see it now already where the market is shifting, where you have like Ryanair and Duolingo on TikTok. These are actually not brands. They're just creators operating under a brand name, but they're eventually just creators. This is what you start needing soon, because they approach it in a completely different way, on a very personal, down-to-earth level. And this is what people want on social. And you see this works. And it's super simple, but to execute, it's very hard in a corporate environment.
I think it's a great win for small creators as well. Thinking about Europe, like you described the geography before, you said it's hard to capture everybody in France. But, for my $10 million company, maybe I don't need everybody in France, but I could have like a medium, small-sized creator for French market who would love to do that for a living. Maybe they can spend 4 hours live streaming on this platform every day and then spend the rest of their time making their own stuff. I think it's a really interesting win-win opportunity for the creators as well in these smaller markets.
Yeah, and for brands as well, right? I want to enter a new market. I'm going to hire someone who's just creating content for me, because reach, you can get traffic on TikTok. If you just know how it works, you can replicate this model across different markets, have one content creator, and this person is anyways already producing your ads, because the market is now heading to user-generated content ads. So they're producing your ads already included in that price. Plus, it's organic. So you can see what works organic. Okay, we're putting our advertising budget on what works organic, because it will work on paid then as well. Instead of only experimenting with paid first, with some random videos you produce somewhere.
Yeah, we're actually doing this ourselves right now. We're even in B2B SaaS, we've had success with just letting people on TikTok like try weird stuff with Modash and show like celebrity stats and this kind of thing. And some of those videos have like tens of millions of views. And now we're gonna scale it out to local markets. So do it in Sweden in Swedish, and have somebody there make the content and so on. So we've done this.
Yeah.
I had never thought of it connected to this topic, but we're doing this.
So it's exactly this, right? And then think about, okay, 50 Swedish person you let them make, and you give them a referral or an affiliate for every client signs up through their video. You give them some money, so they get some money for the production, plus they get money for selling it.
How does the like building these people up? You said build your own creators. How does that work out? Because from my perspective, some aspects of this feel a little bit like lightning in a bottle. It's very difficult to get that person who can make a B2B SaaS tool look cool on TikTok. How do you think about training these folks, making them successful at standing in front of the camera for 4 hours? Is it just a trial and error, keep hiring until you find that one person? How do you think about it?
We did this really from the early days in Europe, where we said creators need to make content for paid advertising. So these TikToks we have been making since 2016 already. And actually it's so simple, but people just don't follow the rules, right? So what we've done is we just make a script. What happens at every single second? This is so important, because in short video, for instance, you have to trigger someone in the first 2 seconds, otherwise they're out. They're completely out. So you need to say like, I got this by doing this. And I always kind of compare it with home videos. I tried to explain it in the early days, where it's like, you watch this very low quality video, something funny is gonna happen, and then you wait 10 seconds until this funny thing happens, and then it's done. And this is the way how you should structure every TikTok video, where it's actually super simple. You need to have something catchy, then you do the introduction, and you kind of do that build up, and then you come this aha moment. We did, I think, 1 million likes on TikTok in a couple weeks, just by having this method.
Yeah, one more piece of advice for TikTok is scroll TikTok. Like the stuff that you like and watch, and like if you get obsessed with the content, then just switch your brain from pure entertainment to why am I liking this? Why did I stay here for more than half a second?
Yeah, and it's quite obvious. Just go to the For You page. The majority of the videos you see other people also like. So it's quite simple to understand, and just then go into it. Why do people like that? What do they comment about? Because then it's a bit about culture. TikTok has this culture you need to understand.
Yeah, I talked to Seem Sinus from Google about on the show about creative and what advice he would give to like big company executives about influencer marketing in general. And Seem is very particular about creative excellence. It's kind of his catchphrase. And what he said something very similar, which was you have to find a way to bring all those brand guidelines closer to reality, and if you're gonna be locked behind brand guidelines and legal and everything else, you're never gonna make a good meme, and so you're never gonna live on TikTok.
People want real recommendations, not a company saying this is great. They want other people hearing to tell it's great, and that's why we approach it this way. But this is tough, I'm in meetings as well where it's like quality is shit. And then I said, yeah, but she got the most views and comments. So you think it's shit, but someone else might not think it's shit. And that's where whole social commerce is about. It's about real recommendations, and you get inspired by the people around you, by your social circle.
Coming back to the training piece on live shopping in particular, we kind of went down the TikTok rabbit hole, but what about getting people to stand there for 4 hours? What about that piece? That's much different than the TikTok editing process, because that part I can imagine.
Yeah, so the most important thing is you have to do it quite a bit. So this is also, I think, another discussion. Do you need to stream for 4 hours? Yes or no? So I think there's a very big difficulty in live streaming, definitely when you just start out. Live is live. When it's done, it's gone. Or you want to put it as a rerun, like on your website or wherever you put it. People don't really watch this. It's the same when I would ask you, would you watch the World Cup final in a rerun or live? You would say live. Of course I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to watch a rerun. How do you get the traffic you advertise on TikTok the day before or on Monday into your live on Tuesday, 5 p.m.? This is the hardest thing ever. And that's why I said stream at the same platform, different platforms at the same time. Try to push traffic during the live while people are consuming. You need to do a lot of those live streams. You need to get interactions to do that. And I already know how a lot of other companies do that. They do this first live stream, and then there's not much chat, because you don't have so many viewers. So you need to really look, okay, we have 100 viewers. How many % of those viewers do chat? Okay, maybe 5%. Then you have 5 chats coming in. It's nothing. Definitely not compared with other platforms. And this is then difficult, because if you're new, you usually respond on chat, because that's where the actual conversion rate comes from. Because it's like, I want to know something about that product, so I'm going to explain you about it in a nice, entertaining way. We do streams from half an hour, but it's really hard to capture all these viewers in exactly that half an hour. That's why you see a lot in China, they go live for 8 hours straight, because it's you get all the traffic spread over 8 hours. It's much easier to once in these 8 hours and once in half an hour. So I always recommend to do long. So now we're going live in our app for 2 hours or something. This is kind of what we're doing it right now. 2 hours straight. We change the topics, but we have different products. Usually you cover one product only for 2 minutes. Gone. And everyone need to create that habit. I know I have to be there because I know my product will come up soon, and then I can buy it only in this 2 minutes because there's a higher discount, for instance.
Part of getting the streamer, the creator, to actually perform for this 2 hour period is to make sure that there's always something new to talk about, actually. So if you're doing 2 minute segments, then it's much easier to do 32-minute segments than 1 2 hour segment or whatever.
Definitely live streaming on mobile is the most competitive thing. You get a WhatsApp message from your friend, you're out. So you need to keep them staying, that you create that kind of urgency that they want to stay with you instead of their best friend who's just text them. And this is hard, to do that.
Switching the products, though, this is super clever. Because it's just new thing. Even, I totally see how that becomes a lot more fun and easier to talk about as well. But do you have a retrospective process or some kind of like, hey, great job on that 2 hour stream you did today, but the team was watching and we saw that, at the 1 hour, 35-minute mark, you had to leave to get yourself water, make sure you have water close by or whatever do you have some sort of retrospective process like this, or how do you iterate on the creator's capability themselves? Because just like any other employee, I suppose they need help and training and so on.
A tricky one. So where we are looking at is we have this user-generated content. There we just look at numbers. And sometimes we check into a live when there's a new creator to think like, does this person have a potential? So we have kind of certain guidelines we're working with to understand when is someone good or when does someone has potential. So that's kind of what we're basically looking at when someone is new. Then we just look at the data, because you might have certain streamers which are very good at community building and getting engagement, but not so strong at the selling. And if we see some well performers there, we invite them to our studios. And that's where we really look at live. We have different camera angles, the way how we approach it, because we can show products much closer and so on. Again, not necessary, but nice to have. And then they can see the comments coming in on the TV screen, and they can read the product information immediately as well. So all the information is there. And then one person in our team is looking live, what people are commenting about, what people want to see, how many concurrent viewers are there, where do they come from, to basically change maybe orders of products, to all the time support that creator. Hey, talk now about this. This is what people want to see. So to really look real time, what is happening, and then debrief together with the creator. The hardest thing what we have, and I think this is generally TV, as you know, maybe from teleshopping, super hard selling. It's really like, buy now you have this discount, now it's only this and this and this. And people now, they don't like that so much. That's very pushy. It's like, I decide on my own if I want to buy it. But the hardest thing right now is when you use creators from social media, they create very entertaining content, much focus more on entertainment and less on selling. Most important thing is really to figure out the balance. How much should you try to incorporate selling and how much is really about entertainment? And when we get someone from TV, they really bring the selling thing in, which doesn't really work at a younger audience. Or you bring in the entertaining part from the creators on TikTok, which is also not really helping in selling. But we tend to overcomplicate things. The camera angle not good and this kind of thing. No, at the end of the day, would you consume the app or watch the live stream yourself as being in the target audience, yes or no?
What's really interesting for me listening to you talk about this is how throughout our conversation so far, you've really talked about like from beyond just using live shopping. Everything you say is about like being live shopping, which I think speaks a lot to obviously your confidence in how well it can work. I guess, this isn't a boost your Facebook post and drive some more conversions type thing. This is a build creators into the DNA of your company. What I really hope comes out of all the chaos, Elon buying Twitter, Facebook CPAs going up, live shopping becoming a thing, all this like TikTok figuring out live shopping in Europe and eating the world. all of this chaos in the space, I hope what comes out of it is actually the evolution of the marketer, that these people inside of these companies, smaller, medium sized, I hope that they learn the opportunity that comes from adapting and not being afraid of the brand guidelines and the lawyer and whatever, and really trying to break down walls, because that's where the fun part is too. I mean, most of these people went to marketing school because they want to be creative and do cool stuff.
Exactly. And I think what's very important is, even if you're a brand or an e-commerce company, the most important is you need to incorporate content in some way or another to start selling through content. And whether you're this company doing it through live streams or you're doing short video or whatever, you need to start making content, because the shopping experience is changing from content first and then commerce. I want to see content first and I want to be inspired or recommended, and then I will purchase. And I think Red Bull is one of the big successes, I think, who nailed this in the very early days, which actually how brands should operate, I believe.
Such a good
in a way,
example.
because it's a media company, it's a content company selling a product.
I've been preaching this idea that for like since I was a teenager, basically, that at some point it will be impossible to run a cafe without being really good at social. Like, you as the owner of the cafe will have to be a personality in order to get that thing to beat Starbucks.
You see, now even if you go on TikTok Live, a lot of the streams are like e-commerce companies packing in their packages. And then it's like, order now and I will pack in your package. And people are obsessed with this, right? Or people at the cafe making coffee. And there's like 5,000-6,000 people watching this. And in China, you have this exact same example. You have factories selling bread, and they're making the bread in the live stream. And then you can just buy bread.
What do you think all of this means for more traditional creator partnerships like our customers tend to run?
I think there's still always a possibility, I think, for creators to monetize through influencer marketing or like advertising, right? Like a creator has to do a promotion #ad or something like this. The thing is, I've worked with those creators, and we see how fragile that market actually is based on just general market developments, like recession coming up, the first budgets which are cut are usually these kind of things. And sometimes creators are really reliant on those sorts of incomes. So I think creators now are getting smarter, definitely with the more tools out there which are built for the creator economy, that you can make money as a creator. So to certain social platforms, commerce is added, right? I think OnlyFans is a very good social commerce type of company, right? You can make a lot of money as a creator by creating content. Whether you agree with the content or not, it's the model itself is kind of what works, but you have Patreon and whatsoever. So there's a lot of ways for you as a creator to monetize. So I think brands really have to start thinking, how can we be more interesting? Even just giving money, and even if it's a lot of money, it doesn't always work anymore. They're like, I don't want to do this, and I don't have to, because I know how to make better money. And I think that's where it's now getting more tougher, because at the end of the day, the industry, like, I don't know, marketplaces or e-com companies or brands, they want to see ROI on their creator investments as well. But if a creator know I can make ROI for this brand, I'm going to do it my own. And I'm going to charge top dollar for if a brand wants to use this. And I have an example. We managed a creator out of China. She worked with all the top brands in LVMH, Gucci, and so on. And then she stopped doing those collaborations, launched her own brands. She had the credibility promoting these luxury brands. She launched her own brand for the same price point and started making much more money.
I think about the small companies like here in Estonia, you know, there's dozens of little jewelry makers or this kind of thing. It's like, it's not actually that hard to launch like a co-branded line with a local creator in Estonia. It's like, you know, you do the normal photos you would normally do, except you have them in the photos. You make the normal jewelry you would usually do, except like collaborate with them on the inspiration for it or whatever. And just have content that's more engaged with the actual culture, the boots on the ground. I think it's so much fun, and I think all those obstacles you mentioned are there, but I think that they might not be as cumbersome as many people think. And when you're that small jewelry company in Estonia or the Etsy store or whatever, it's not you don't need to worry right now about the tax regulation in Germany and where that's going or whatever. I think just get started on this. And
yeah,
those
just
are
start
really,
live streaming on TikTok 8 hours a day.
Yeah, do it
While you're packing boxes.
if
or
you're
whatever. You're
making
making the
jewelry,
jewelry.
yeah. If you're making jewelry and you're not live streaming it, you're losing right now. Like, yeah,
Exactly. So there, it's so easy actually to create content. It's really easy, and live streaming is actually the easiest one. And it doesn't mean live shopping that you really want to actively sell, but even just for entertainment purposes, just stream someone in your company doing their job, which is
yeah,
somewhat handcrafting or whatever, interesting, packing boxes, interesting. People like to watch this stuff. And I think that's already where it goes, right? And this is where the whole market goes. And for me, because I'm so deep in the industry, it's like sometimes so hard for me to make it so simple explaining, because I know all the small bits, and I've been involved in all those different things and working with thousands of creators in different ways. So yeah, sometimes we have to kind of pull ourselves back. It's actually super simple. And I
yeah,
have even sometimes difficulty in explaining how simple it is, because I know so many things are happening. So but it
yeah.
is, you just should start today. Everyone has a phone, just turn on your phone, start streaming on TikTok.
Who do you really admire in the world of creator partnerships? Pick somebody, anyone really stand out. What do you love about them, and what can others learn about them?
I think the best company right now on the market is Shein. So Shein is Chinese company, who grew to, I think, 100 billion valuation in just a couple of years by just nailing creator partnerships and incorporating creators exactly in their business model, how social commerce looks like, and actually showcase. For me, that's a proof, because I've worked and lived in China for quite some time and worked with creators there. And this was for me a proof because this is so Chinese, but it works in the West. And creator partnership wise, I think they played super smart, where they have like shine holes and all those sorts of things, reaching billions on social. People consume content on the app, and they already manufacture the products. People consume it before even orders. Before someone even orders, they then start manufacturing already, because they see there's an interest for this. I think they launch about, what I read, 20,000 new products every single month. They really nailed creative partnerships and show in a couple of years you can be a $100 billion company in just a couple of years' time from scratch.
And what can we learn from them? What's like the core takeaway from Shein?
Allow creators in your business. I think that's
Let
the whole
them
thing,
in.
because no one else is doing that.
Awesome. Okay, I'm finally going to let you go, Fabian. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate your time. Do you want to plug anything, or?
I just like to talk about the industry. So if people want to contact me about the industry, I'm always happy to nerd about it. Like, I'm so into it and excited to talk about, because this is going to change the way how people shop. And
yeah, how people live. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, just excited
cool.
to talk about it.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Thank you for tuning in, everybody, and hasta la vista.